If you're going to plant an apple seed, you're going to get an apple and not a watermelon. It's plain and simple. It's really that easy, right? Things are what they are. Ultimately, we like to be respected for what we are. Sometimes we don't get respected for what we are. So then it may seem to others like we're somewhat proud of who we are. But I want you to reflect back to what we were talking about in the last video on Kritika. And if you have missed those particular videos, you can find them on my timeline, all the way starting from Purva Bhadrapada. I didn't start with the beginning of the Nakshatras, but I also want to add here the whole purpose of this is keeping this series nice and simple as possible. Okay, so with Kritika, there was the process of differentiation. You could call it the cosmic mother and the cosmic father came together and created something different, right? That has qualities of both, but doesn't want to be like either. It wants to be completely differentiated. It wants to be unique and pure in its being. Well, that tone has been set. And that pureness needs to be protected. And that's where Rohini comes in. Rohini translated means the red growing or the red growing one. Now, what does that mean? Red is a color of fertility. It's a color of abundance in many Eastern cultures. It's the color of passion. And so it's attributed to the concept of growth here. Okay. And so it's the red growing. So what is being grown? That seed is being grown. That seed needs to be protected. Ultimately, a quote unquote mother or a nurturing presence will want to nurture the pureness of an individual, right? The particularness of what that child is, what that energy is, etc. Interestingly enough, Rohini is quite often connected to agriculture, the planting of seeds that are going to grow something, but that seed needs to be nurtured, it needs to be protected. This is a very creative nakshatra. Planets placed in Rohini nakshatra quite often have a creative side to them, a very productive side. So, for instance, if you have a relationship planet in Rohini, one may put a lot of energy and effort into relationships. But Rohini, because of its creativity and because of its abundance and because of its protectiveness and willingness to get the job done, it quite often draws a lot of negative attention to itself from other people. It's often seen to be prideful. Now, the lunar mansions, the nakshatras, are known as the wives of the moon, and Rohini is understood to be the most favored wife of the moon. That doesn't mean it's the most favored nakshatra. It just means that there's an energy about it that speaks of it as being most favored because the moon's job is to grow things. So Rohini being about growth, ultimately it would make sense in that particular capacity. But the main meaning we're trying to attribute to that is the concept of pride, sometimes a little bit of jealousy because of being most favored, right? Like let's say you have a planet that, signifies your work. You might be very productive at work. Due to that, you might draw jealousy from your coworkers because they see you as, always, being more productive than they are. And they go, well, I don't really want to be that productive. And so that creates some issues for the individual. Rohini is also connected on a certain level to those things that convey us from one location to another. It's the mother carrying the child. It's the carrying of the seed, protecting that, right? So that it's able to nurture and completely blossom. Okay, so there's the whole concept of motion and carrying something with Rohini Nakshatra. The Nakshatras are a really interesting subject. I hope you understand that in this brief series that I'm giving on them, I can only share with you maybe this much, which is quite a large amount for considering the fact that the nakshatras are so vast and as vast as the universe itself. So this is actually probably more like this, but in the greater scheme of things, they're even more intense than that. So if you'd like to know more about the nakshatras in your own personal horoscope, I would suggest scheduling in an astrological consultation with me. My prices have recently been lowered. You can schedule with me through the link that you'll see above. Thanks a lot for watching. Talk to you next time. Bye.